And I'm thankful to Mr. Hegde that he called me in the morning that he's got a flight at 8:30 and he wanted to leave by 5:30. And I requested him to stay till 8:30 so that he could be part of the show, and he accepted my invitation, and today he's there to preside the lecture of Mr. Narayan Gad. Thank you, Mr. Hegde.
Thank you, Mr. Brahma. Now we'll move to the very important session, again by Mr. Narayan Gad, I think whom industry knows quite well. He has been again a successful marketeer, has come up from the lower ranks to the high position, and we are fortunate enough to have with us Mr. Narayan Gad, who is going to speak on managing margins. Now this particular session again will be chaired by Mr. Hegde, who is again a distinguished figure in the pharma industry. He is the managing director of Astra IDL, and he has over 34 years of experience in the field of product development, manufacturing, packaging, plant management, industrial relations, as well as general management at the corporate level. And he has built up his most progressive organization in a very planned manner. So Mr. Hegde, I would sincerely appreciate your presence, and I would request you to, I think overall supervise the thing that we are going to follow. And basically Mr. Gad is going to give us a very important...
That is a frog in a well, yeah.
Yeah, frog in a well.
Yes,
Thank you.
Well, the earlier topic was managing margin, but Mr. Gad rang me up saying that he's going to talk on an important topic, that is frog in a well. It's not only a good topic, but everybody doesn't know about it. Let's hear from him this interesting topic now.
I think just a couple of hours ago, I told someone in the audience that I created a record of sorts. So now I'm creating another record of sorts. I'm supposed to have shared a session on margins, and Mr. I think Gad has changed his topic to frog in a well. So I think I've never been a frog in a well. I've been in many wells, and hence I think I would leave Mr. Gad to talk about frog in a well. So since Mr. Brahma is already running short of time, and time is the essence, let me leave it to the expert and not do too much of deliberations myself. I'm a CEO and not a marketing exponent. So I'll leave Mr. Gad to do the needful. All the best.
Yeah, thank you.
My seniors in industry, friends and colleagues. Wockhardt is considered as a very profitable organization. So whenever I'm asked to speak, very often I'm asked to speak about how do we make this company profitable, how do we manage margins. And that's how I instantly agreed to Brahma when he spoke to me about that. But then I realized that this is a medical marketing kind of meeting where there are a lot of hard data which will be talked about, a lot of medical data, a lot of strategic data. And if I come up with some more hard information, it may not really be a sustaining interest of people, especially coming up as the fourth or the fifth speaker. And that's why I thought let's take up something which is a little more esoteric and keep the climax a little alive and say, what's this all about, a frog in a well?
Light.
Frog in a well. The question is, if anybody can be a holistic marketing individual, it can be the pharma marketeer. What does one mean by holistic marketing individual? It's in pharma market that we manage demand, we manage supply, we manage research, we manage copy, we manage visualization. It's a full-fledged setup where there's very little that we depend on outside resourcing. If that is so, a pharma marketeer or a pharma salesperson should be able to move from industry to industry. But we hardly see anybody going out of pharma industry into any other industry. Why does that happen? Because although we are capable of moving into any industry, we have conducted ourselves as a frog in a well. What is it that we can learn from other industries? What is it that we can observe from other industries and see if we can transplant that into our own sales and marketing practices here, which will actually give us a better panorama. And that's how we're talking about a frog in a well. If you look at the financial world's annual brand ranking, we look at multiple brands across FMCG sectors. 48,000 of Coca-Cola, US $1 million, right up to Levi's, which is $8,200 million. These are the mega brands of the industry, of the international industry. What have these brands done which has made them mega brands? Are there any laws that one can pick up from here and transplant into the pharma industry? That's what we're going to examine. A large number of these laws that we examine today may not be directly applicable, but there's no harm learning from here and see how we can transplant them. I'm sure there could be some laws that are transplantable. These new researchers who come up, Bushwolf and Wordman, who have created a 5 portal which talks about what have these successful brands done to make those brands into so big. The 5 portals we talked about here, I'll not mention them by name because we're going to look at each of these portals one after the other. The first portal we're talking about is the portal of benefits and promises. What are we looking at here? Just now we heard Mr. Guha talk about, let's not talk features, let's talk benefits. Actually, I think we can go a little beyond and talk about benefits and promises. When we go to a customer and do we talk about benefits alone which will make him buy? I think what makes a customer actually buy is your proposition. And your proposition has got a certain amount of virtuality to it, not a summation of all the benefits. How does one create additional benefits which are more in virtual nature? In fact, one can say that there is much more in virtual benefits than in real benefits. What can one do with virtual benefits? There could be 5 ways of looking at virtual benefits: addressing life interests, pinpointing a threat, adopting a spirit, and finding the magic. Can we look at each of these in a brief manner? Look at some examples for each of these. Yeah. The growth curve for benefits and promises, the first one we can look at is addressing life interests. Can we make a brand proposition wherein your brand jumps up from relative inconspicuousness to high on the agenda? As I go along with you, I'll be sharing with you a number of examples which can probably elucidate this thought. High on the agenda from relative inconspicuousness, done in the FMCG sector in India, was the Doodh campaign. Doodh was a very relatively inconspicuous product in the life of an individual in India, and that campaign brought it up high on the life agenda of a person. Another example I can think of is a cruise airline. And a sea cruise is unaffordable by a lot of us. We think it's heaps of food, sea. We don't look at it as being top of our agenda. We always keep it low on the agenda. Here was this sea cruise company which moved it up from low of the agenda to high of the agenda. What did they do? They took that insight of customers and they said, what are the customers actually looking for on a holiday? The customers are looking for not a holiday, the customers are looking for escape. And then came the campaign which said, the laws of the land do not apply. You can make love at 4 o'clock in the afternoon if you take our cruise. So we have moved from low on the agenda to high on the agenda. How often do we use threat as a motivation? Now there are plenty of brands which can get built on threat as a motivating factor. The one thing that one can think of for threat is if any of you are dealing with pets, you know that all of us like to keep our pets nice and clean. But one threat that a pet owner has is the odor or the smell that pet emanates, creating embarrassment. Can we capitalize that to create a brand for a pet spray? So we're talking about here a situation where a threat is utilized. Can I give you one more example, a very interesting example of very simple freezer bags? Now, those of us who eat non-vegetarian food are familiar with freezer bags. Here is a freezer bag company which was running into a lot of generic competition and was losing margins, losing volumes. And then what did they find from inside is, can we reposition this category? And the thought that they came up with was freezer burns. Now, have you seen a piece of chicken taken out of a freezer? It looks burnt, it looks charred, it looks absolutely unhygienic, it looks non-nutritious. So they said, if you use a freezer bags, we are avoiding freezer burns. So here what we are doing is moving away from threat to creating a threat into a villain. I'm sure a number of these principles can be moved on into pharmaceuticals also. Next one. Can we give a spirit to your brand? A very simple product, can we add a bit of spirit to it? What are we talking about when we're talking about spirit? There was this company which was into cereals, intensely competitive, and they said we should move our cereal to high on the agenda of the customer. What can we do? The proposition was made with love. Now, anybody can say made with love, but how they went about presenting it was very fascinating. They showed a whole set of very old grannies or grandmas actually baking the cereal. Became a situation of made with love. Moved from low of the agenda to high of the agenda. Finding the magic. I'm sure as brand managers and marketeers, if you look at our brands, deep inside somewhere, there is some magic sitting in our brand. Can we locate that magic and convert it into a proposition? We have this Indian brand which beautifully created a magic. The brand was Halls. What Halls found was that all cough lozenges gives you some kind of relief. Halls does too. Taste was an important consideration. But when they looked deep inside their brand, they found a very interesting magic. If you remember cough lozenges, they have a certain kind of biting feeling first, and then a kind of anesthetic feeling. Halls lozenges give you a soothing feeling. What did they do is discover this magic and presented this magic in a very interesting form. They used an illusion, not illusion. They used an illusion of a wound being kissed and gave a proposition of a sore throat being kissed to healing. So here we're talking about creating magic. I'm sure pharma industry can borrow a lesson from here also. Every time we say a brand name, every time we say a word, a certain movie comes up in our mind. Let's say if I have to market Goa as a brand, I keep Goa aside and I say, what other location can I think of? And suddenly I say, Hawaii is a good island. Now when I say Hawaii, suddenly a mind movie starts revolving in the mind of anybody else. Bikini-clad women, colorful clothes, joyousness. And then if I were to say, Goa is Hawaii in India, I've created mind movie. And I've created some kind of magic coming up. So if you look at the growth codes, the benefits and promises, we have covered 5 growth codes here. Now, when we talk about benefits and promises, actually what we're talking about is what the product has to offer. When we talk about norms and values, what we're talking about is what's the right thing to do. Now each of us have norms which you're born up with. These norms lead to guilt feeling sometimes. These norms create pride in us. These norms create inconsistencies. These norms create taboos. Now, can we do something with each of these in terms of positioning a brand? When we talk about eliminating guilt, can we position your brand which eliminates guilt? I think Mr. Guha just now mentioned about Maggi. Maggi could have been made without having go through the process of boiling. It could have been just put into water. That would have created a guilt in the mother that I have not done enough. I have not done enough homework in terms of creating a snack for the child. That's why Maggi went careful to make sure that they went through the 2-minute process, and that by that process they eliminated guilt and created a brand. Another example of eliminating guilt is, all of us are familiar with Hallmark cards which are marketed even in India. Hallmark suddenly discovered to their horror that a lot of cheap imitations were eating away into their brand share, into their market share, margins would start going down. They came up with a thought which said, if you care enough, send a Hallmark. The result was, any receiver of a card turned back first to see whether it's a Hallmark card. If it's a Hallmark card, he says, I am cared enough. So here's a situation where you exploit guilt. Challenging pride. I have a very interesting example of challenging pride here. It's not a product-related example. It's an example of a social campaign. Somewhere deep in Europe, in Stockholm, they found graffiti on the wall, which means obscene pictures, obscene paintings coming up at regular intervals. They tried to find out what can be done to curb this. Policemen were deployed, dogs were kept, but the graffiti never stopped. Then came an interesting advertising person. He says, can we tackle it by some other way? Can we tackle it by challenging the pride of these people? Inside showed that these people who are doing the graffiti were actually not very confident people. They were scared people, but they wanted to somehow communicate. They were not comfortable communicating in small social groups. They went about painting dirty pictures, dirty wordings on the wall. What a creative person did was made a nice small movie which was screened in all the movie theaters, taking into account the insight of the creators of the graffiti. Insight was, this man is scared. They showed a small, nice dog, a scary kind of dog, walking down a subway, futilely looking back all the time, trying to see if anybody is following. Next shot was a person looking very similar to the dog, walking down. Slowly, gradually, the dog walks down, the man walks down. Enter the subway, the dog lifts the leg and does what you know. End of the subway, the man takes out a spray of can and puts it on the graffiti. Screening of this picture stopped graffiti on the walls. Pride was challenged. If you do this, you are no better than a dog. Can we expose inconsistencies and create a growth code for norms and values? I'm sure all of us come up with some inconsistency or other. Suppose you are to be a food care manufacturer. Can you expose the inconsistency and say, hey, listen, you spend so much rupees on creams, shampoos, and so what? Can you not spend a few rupees on food care? And you're exposing an inconsistency. I'm sure people will respond to that. How do taboos come up with us? Taboos come up based on upbringing, taboos come up based on social situations. If you overturn taboos, is there a great marketing opportunity sitting with us? There are two interesting examples in India of taboos which are overturned. Interesting example is whisper. And I'm sure all of us remember the sentence which says, Ma, kapde to parde ke liye hote hain. A taboo which was not discussed earlier was brought to the table for discussion today. The moment you overturn a taboo, what you're actually doing is, this slow-moving product becomes a fast-moving product. The taboo products could be male potency products, female hygiene products, but the moment you bring them out into the open, you have a better chance of getting them into moving. Another example is an area of constipation. Constipation is considered to be taboo. Can you convert it into overturn the taboo? I remember a commercial where a lady ordering food from a restaurant to a waiter, she says, listen, my husband has got constipation, so get something which will suit him. So it is brought up to the table. And suddenly she jocularly tells him, why don't you put milk of magnesia on your menu? Taboo overturned. I'm sure these are possibilities. But can we overturn the taboo all the time? I think we need to be very socially sensitive to see, is the right time come? For example, in a place like Bombay today, I don't see any reason, or any other metropolitan today, I don't see any reason for a book publisher to bring up books on sex education for children. Because today is a time, not 10 years ago, where sex education can be done by parents to the children. So one can look at taboo being overturned based on social situations. We saw so far promises, then we saw norms and values. Now we can look at perceptions and programs. Perceptions and programs are more like ingrained. They are not acquired from outside. And we look at the thought and say, you prefer your brand because perception and behavior programs point it as a logical choice. I'll quickly move you on to each of these and see how these can be used for our purposes. My friend Guha is my classical example. Can you mark out a territory where you're already present and enlarge that? Now, this is totally different from market segmentation. In market segmentation, you first look at a vacant segment and introduce a brand. My friend Guha did a fantastic job of marking out a territory and moving in. Taxum to Taxum O. Great results were obtained by there. And the example of marking of territory. Analgesia is analgesia. Ceridon presented itself as a headache specialist, marking the territory. Next one. Can we cut into another market? When Pepsi, Coke came into India, they said, my competition is not soft drinks. My competition is chai, nimbu pani, and water, in that order. Did they succeed? Surely. Today, how many of us have children who come back from school and ask for Coke or Pepsi rather than water? We are moving into another territory. Can you redefine your league and move your brand into an unexpected category? All of us are aware of salt. When you're talking about redefining league, I'm reminded of salt. First we had just plain common salt, then we had iodized salt. And do you remember last Sunday? A new salt has been launched with such large crystals. And it talks about salt as good for the heart. What have you done? You have moved from common league into specialty league. An example that one can think of is another example you can think of is when you magnify your brand, make the others small and create another league for yourself, live life king size. So every other brand is small size, I am king size. I must share with you a very interesting thought about how this thought of redefining league was used by IBM ThinkPad. IBM ThinkPad showed a very innocuous little village, a small little monk typing away something, and he was sending an email to the Pope. And the machine was the IBM ThinkPad. So what you've actually done is moved from a small area into a marvelous area and they redefined your league. Now, is there any brand which has no negatives? All brands have a lot of positives, but I'm sure each of the brands have some negatives or the other. Okay, if you can live with the negatives, well and good. But if you negatives start interfering with your sales, what do you do? All of us are aware of Braun, the epilator company, which basically specializes in hair removing products. Braun was stuck in a very interesting situation. They thought they're very good electronic people, they can make a few other electronic products, so they made hi-fi sound equipment. Bombed in the marketplace. Stuck with stocks, a few crores. Negative situation. Invert the negative. They reintroduced it as said, limited edition. If you buy it, we'll service it for you for 10 years. It's a limited edition product. Our own very India, Ford was not a very successful car to begin with. What did they do? Centenary edition became a collector's item. A negative becomes a possible positive. Can we reverse the negative? Resetting routines. You know, all of us have usage manuals in our brain. Usage manuals are either created by communication or either created by years of usage. Years of usage. With rum, you need to have cola. I don't know who said that. It's a usage manual. And the usage manual created in our minds by communication, 8 p.m. whiskey. So I must drink it only after 8 p.m., not at 7 p.m. Can we reset routines and expand our market? I think the Indian restaurateurs have done a fantastic job there. A vada was supposed to be eaten at breakfast time. Reset routines, now you have cocktail vadas. Samosa was supposed to be eaten as a midday snack. Now you have cocktail samosas. Salads were supposed to be eaten at lunch and dinner. Salads have become cocktail products today. Resetting routines. I'm sure it's possible for us to do this also. The fourth what we're talking about is identity and self-expression. What are we looking at here? Customers use brands because brands communicate. In fact, much before a person starts talking, probably one can see the Mont Blanc pen on his coat lapel. Probably one can see cufflinks which can communicate about him. Or probably one can see OCM or a Raymond suit. All these are communicating. creating brands and perceptions. The brand perceptions has got 5 growth codes. Let's look at each of these and see whether we have any examples that we can follow. The first growth code, demonstrating character. Some brands demonstrate character. I'll give you a very small pharma example that I may look at. If I were to be a marketer only for Punjab, and I were to market a product for flu, can I use a character principle and say, when the tough gets sick, you're displaying character of the brand. We have enough examples outside the pharma sector where characters have been utilized, character of the brand have been utilized. Beer has utilized the character of male toughness. Shirts have utilized the category of black eye patches indicating adventurous guy. Thumbs Up has been utilizing the character of the bungee plunging and so on and so forth, saying if you're an adventurous person, doing thumbs up. So you're looking at brands demonstrating character. Brands can also look at advocating an ideology. However, when you look at advocating an ideology, you can't have the luxury of fence sitting. When you advocate an ideology, you're on one end of the ideology, and you must abandon the other part of the market. One simple example of advocating an ideology is Nike. What did Nike say? Accept no limits. Just do it. Advocating an ideology. I'm sure pharma companies can follow a couple of rules from here. Can we create kinship through our brands? Can your brand become the membership card of a particular elite group? One example one can think of and apply it anywhere else is the magazine publication business. Baron magazine, which is predominantly read by senior executives, creates a kind of kinship. Creating a hero? No, creating a hero out of your brand has certain advantages. It does not pick up one attribute. Every hero that you see has multiple attributes. So, qualities of this hero is equal to quality of my brand. Simple communication. I think in India we have used a lot of celebrity advertising, but one needs to be careful when we do that. If you use Kapil Dev today, you're going to be in serious trouble. Brands express personal messages, and when they express personal messages, you can actually exploit competition in a beautiful way. One brand I can think of which is expressing a personal message in the last 6 months is Maurya Sheraton, Delhi. After the celebrity visitors that we have had, Maurya Sheraton has moved from being a luxury hotel to a celebrity status hotel. Brand is expressing a personal message. The last category we're looking at is the utilization of emotions and love. It's interesting, you know. Do we love any two people the same way? We love people, a lot of people, but we never love people in the same way. Similarly, even when we love brands, we don't love any brand the same way. The intensity of our love for each brand is so different. As a marketeer, can I make a brand which is the most loved brand? And how can I do that? I can do it by these 4 possible ways, and let's look at examples for each of these. Being a friend could be the most loved way. Do some of us recall the glycodin ad where the school child says, I will not drink glycodin. And why? Because if I drink glycodin, I'll get better. If I get better, I have to go to school. Glycodin became a friend. Can we tap into emotions? Stimulate an existing emotional node? I think the current Hindi film titles are example of igniting a current emotional node. Big, long line titles. Nurturing a yarning. It is often said that the yarning has got much more pleasure than the actual achievement of the yarning. You look forward to it. Not necessarily it should happen. Some of us here who are going to market sildenafil should remember it. Arousing empathy is telling a story. I think it's a very beautiful way of marketing a brand. Only one brand in India has used this. Telling a story, not necessarily relevant to the brand, but signing off with the brand. Which was the brand? Amul. One-line stories, signed off as Amul. Can we ever forget that? It creates empathy for the brand. Having seen the various portals and the various growth codes, what does one achieve by working with the growth codes? If you look at this very carefully, I'm sure all of us can go back and apply this. Every growth code opens a universe. What does that mean? Now, a growth code actually is a stimulus for our own creative juices. In the absence of a growth code, we don't know how to become creative. So growth code can become a universe of creativity. Let's also remember that growth codes have no expiry dates. They were valid 100 years ago, they're valid now, they'll remain valid in the future. So if you start applying growth codes to your business and your brand, you'll remain eternally alive. If you start using growth codes into growth codes, combine one growth code with another, you'll have a super growth code for your own brand. One can say these are emotional strategies, yes. Buying decisions are emotional, but these emotional strategies deliver hard results. When we are stuck for an idea, what do? We do some crystal ball gazing. Can I get an idea? Can I get an idea? If you start using growth codes, you can smash the crystal ball. Because you have a very disciplined, systematic way of going about it. And last but not the least, if you are into market research, if you're using growth codes, you can really establish a personality for your brand vis-a-vis that of your competitors. I guess I have taken about 5 minutes longer than I anticipated.
It's a nice presentation.
Thank you very much for listening to
Fantastic. And I request Mr. Hegde to analyze in brief, maybe in half second or 1 second.
I think my friend is giving me half a second or 1 second. I already used the half a second. I think synopsizing a presentation of the kind Mr. Gad has done, he is doing something impossible. He has given some postulates and he has clearly indicated that orientation can't be stereotyped. It has to be more consumer oriented even for pharmaceutical business. That means all of us, from being a frog in a well, will have to adapt a lot of things which would happen in other industry. This is the moral of the story, and all the marketing experts would perhaps take a leaf of Mr. Gad's book and do a better job from tomorrow, and their margins will improve, their business will improve, and we are definitely expected to take up lots of avenues for growth of our individual business. Thank you very much. It has been an excellent lecture and perhaps the best in the day. Thank you.
May I request Mr. Hegde to give the memento to Mr. Gad? Simultaneously, may I request Mr. Gad? Well, ladies and gentlemen, can you take a small tea break? If you allow me, I can do that. We have time? Okay, let's take a tea break then.
Please, from that side, please.
It's a French company which specializes in laboratory glassware systems. It's a fully automated program. Yes, I was just talking. This is the view which is
But
We have a very notable speaker, Mr. Vikram Aima, who is again a successful entrepreneur and head of Ochoa Laboratories. He has a vast experience in pharmaceutical marketing for more than 2 decades, and he has successfully launched his company at a very young age of 31. He is the recipient of very prestigious awards for his entrepreneurial skills. We feel pride
Laptop.
to have with us a very renowned person like him, and he is going to give us a very interesting talk on understanding customer satisfaction and factors influencing it. This particular session will be chaired by Mr. B.N. Singh, whom all of us know again as a part of a very progressive pharmaceutical group, Alchem Labs. He is the director of this company, and he has his own strengths in terms of his professional contributions. I request Mr. B.N. Singh to come on the dais
Yeah, please come.
and chair this session. I also request Mr. Vikram Aima to give his
Yes.
presentation talks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And I thank Mr. Brahma for giving me this opportunity to speak in the August gathering. I'm sorry that some technical snag has happened to my laptop, and I'm not able to operate my laptop. And I'm sure you will excuse me for that. The topic which has been assigned to me, all my fellow speakers have already spoken about it in one way or the other, and I don't know whether what I would be speaking would be something new to you, but still I'll make an effort to say so. My topic is, which is the main core of the business, is the customer and his satisfaction. We have to understand the customer satisfaction, and for that we have to look into the basics of marketing. A great society is a society in which its men of business think greatly of their functions. Marketing is the set of human activities directed at facilitating and consummating exchanges. The important aspects are that marketing is the domain of human activities and exchange is the establishment of continuous relationship of exchange. Marketing management is the analysis, planning, implementation, and control of programs designed to bring about exchanges with target audience. Here it's important to look into the concept of marketing and its implications on the society. As in the marketing, we directly deal with the human beings and the society on the whole. Such a concept is known as societal marketing concept. Societal marketing concept is a customer orientation backed by integrated marketing aimed at generating customer satisfaction and long-run customer welfare as the key to satisfying organizational goals. Under societal concept, there are two ways of undertaking marketing: the sales concept and the marketing concept. In the sales concept, the focus is only on selling the products and making profits through the sales volume. Whereas in marketing concept, the focus remains on the customer and the profits are earned through customer satisfaction. There are four pillars of societal marketing concept, which are customer orientation, integrated marketing, customer satisfaction, and customer welfare. The market is because the customer is. Customer, the core of any business activity. Then the question arises, who is the customer? A customer is one who determines what a business is, what it produces, and whether it will prosper. The major focus of marketing concept is on customer orientation. It calls for the basic reorientation of the company to look toward the customer's needs. Then comes the second pillar of the marketing concept, the integrated marketing. In this, the purpose of the company is to create a customer. Integrated marketing also believes that within the marketing functions, there should be intelligent adaptation and coordination of 4 Ps: product, price, place, and promotion, to build strong exchange relationship with customers.
Yeah, please.
The third pillar of marketing concept deals with customer satisfaction, which says that the main factor in the company's long-run fortunes will be amount of customer satisfaction that it manages to generate. And the fourth pillar is long-run customer welfare. This asks the marketer to include social and ecological consideration in his product and marketing choices. In order to be successful in any business, the company should first understand the changing business environment. For decades, the customer was treated as merely demographic units. Suddenly, he is bringing into focus of the companies. License to manufacture, production facility with 110% capacity, a popular brand name, none of these makes for a competitive advantages anymore. For demanding, choosy and unforgiving customer, whose priority is not to buy a particular product, but to find the most cost-effective way of fulfilling his needs. The raison d'etre of enterprise today is in customer. The question remains, how must companies respond to this situation? The companies should respond by attending on the customer, talking to him, understanding his overt need, and psychoanalyzing him for the innermost secrets, and then bringing every available resource to bear on meeting those needs and even trying to surpass them. If the companies do not wake up to this reality, they will go to the dinosaur way. Since the core of any business is the customer, in order to understand the changing business environment, the companies must first understand the customer behavior. Today's customer behavior is the confluence of several economic forces that has made the customer the arbiter of corporate destiny. We'll take a brief look at the various factors influencing the customer behavior. Economic liberalization. This has lowered entry barriers and brought global companies into countries' marketplace. Wide spectrum of choices. With his patronage no longer taken for granted, the choice-empowered customer is naturally in a position to dictate terms. Increased earnings. Consumer earnings are rising rapidly and the savings rate dropping sharply, generating increasing amount of disposable income. Changed society and information age. Changing personal, social, familial, and cultural influences, satellite TV and all, and the exposure to the global changes have changed the customer behavior. In today's business environment, the company should be customer focused. All marketing efforts must be directed at meeting customers' needs and not the market shares. Marketers must track customer needs continuously and respond to them instantly. Corporate strategies must be aimed at delivering greater customer value than rivals. All planning processes and people must be reconfigured around the customer. A customer-focused company is a customized corporation. A customized corporation is a corporation whose every employee, from the doorman to the director, is responsible for upholding the values of the company's customers. And in today's market economy, only the customerized corporation will survive. But how to customerize? A company can become a customerized corporation by building a strong value system, by focusing on the need of individual customer, by replacing hierarchies with the teams, and by empowering teams and the team members. The company should empower employees to solve customer problems on their own initiative. The company should use customer feedback and participation to keep the innovation customer focused. A customerized corporation measures the success of all ideas in terms of the value they add to the customer. The company should facilitate interaction with customers and turn every encounter with the customer into a platform of interactive communication. Once a company identifies itself as the customized corporation, the actual task of delighting the customer starts. Satisfaction suffices, but delight dazzles. One has to move beyond customers' expectation by anticipating his needs and then surpassing them with superior products and or superior service. But then what is the customer delight? Customer's delight is the fulfillment of latent needs and which customer is not aware of. Then how to generate this delight? The company should look for expectations, performance gaps in the order to identify opportunities to delight. It should constantly surpass the expectations that the customer has built around its product. The company should treat every customer as though he is the only customer whom the company wants. In order to delight the company has to build the customer value chain. It can be done by using each and every stage in the marketing process to add value to the final product or service that reaches the customer. By using every stage in the value chain to fathom customers' needs, wants and desires. In the process, forging a lifetime link with the customer who will reciprocate with his loyalty. A very important aspect of developing the customer value chain is product development. In the new value chain, the product or the service is the primary vehicle for fulfilling the customer's need, and the companies must start considering themselves as being in business for addressing to the customer's needs. This will need an approach of constant improvisation and customization to some or all of the three layers of the product: the core products, the additional features, and the service envelope. Brand building in value chain is the next important stage in developing customer satisfaction. The new value chain redesignates the brand as the transport system to meet the customer's need. Products are developed to meet customer needs and brands are positioned to offer distinctive value. In the process, relationships are built to offer lifetime customer value. So when the customer is the jury, it is the value generation for the customer that will separate the victor from the vanquished. Thank you very much.
Thanks for giving a nice presentation. May I request Mr. B.N. Singh to analyze in brief? Please.
Tapan Ray, Mr. Sampradaya Singh, CMD of Alchem Laboratories Limited, my distinguished friends, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank Mr. Vikram Amma for giving a very well informative talk on customers understanding of customer satisfaction and factors which influence the satisfaction of the customers. The time is short, and the talk which were made by our learned speakers in the morning, in the afternoon session, they have covered a lot of the points. But the fact is, if we will talk about marketeers, if we will talk about the marketing is always customer oriented. And now this evening we cannot forget Professor Philip Kotler, who always emphasized that marketeers all over the world, or companies all over the world, have to think about the customers. The entire marketing design, performance of the company is oriented towards customer service. I can tell you very confidently and honestly that whatever success we have seen in our company, as Alchem Laboratories, in 26 years, the position we have come till today, maybe we are going to cross around 450 crores by end of the year. It's a small performance. I do not claim that this figure of 450 crores is a big figure. We started in the year 1973 end. Practically we started in the year 1974. But whatever success we have seen, I would like to mention here that there are several factors, but primarily 3 factors have contributed to our success. Number 1, we always tried our best to go for good range of products. Products are very, very important. We always try to build up a good team of our people who have to go to the customers. And the third factor which has contributed to our success is that we always try to have a very cordial relationship with our customers. And I can tell very proudly that we have always got, in a greater way, the blessings and support from the customers who are definitely in pharmaceutical industry. They are the doctors. And when we talk about the OTC products, it will be the patients. So the fact is, whether we talk about the brands, the major brands which are seen in the industry, or even in our case, PK Guha was giving the example of Taximo, or we have seen how Taxim has grown, ultimately brands are also made by the doctors. They had been the trendsetters yesterday. The doctors as customers are the trendsetters today, and they will remain the trendsetters in future also, all over the world. I'm very emphatically mentioning this point, that the importance of doctors as customers cannot be minimized. True, the concept is changing. The kind of service we were giving to doctors 50 years ago in our country cannot be given today in the 21st century. Today, Indian pharmaceutical companies have to organize, have to give stress on R&D factors if we have to launch new products, good products for customers' use. They are looking for, as it was very correctly mentioned by our speaker, Mr. Hanna, that we have to go for the new brands. Today's doctors, as customers have become, they are practicing as super specialists. Now when they are practicing themselves, they are very, very sophisticated in their practice. Their approach towards customers is different. We have to, as manufacturers, in the pharmaceutical industry, as Indian drug manufacturers, or even for the multinational companies, it is essential, but particularly for us, because now we have to give emphasis on R&D factor.
Can I interrupt, Mr. Singh? We are running short of time, so
Yeah.
could you please...
Apart from this, I know we are running short of time.
I hope we could have listened more from you, but...
See, we have to go for a customer's complaint, sell. Today, how many companies are really keen, really willing to know about the complaints from the customers? This is, I personally feel this is essential, and we are giving a lot of importance to customers' complaint. Maybe a lot of ideas we get. Finally, I would like to say that if we really want to see that customers are really supporting us, we want their support, we have to go for good products, efficacious products. Ultimately, the customers, as doctors, will take care of efficacious products, attractive packaging, good quality. They would like to see that their patients should have the maximum benefits and should have the minimum effect of side effects of the drugs. So ultimately, what is important is the kind of involvement we have with the customers. I recall once I had a discussion with one of my doctor friends who retired as professor and head of department of Patna Medical College, Department of Dermatology. I asked him, I'm concluding now.
Okay.
My dear doctor friend, you tell me which factor our people are coming to you with samples, our sales people from the industry are coming to you with samples, they are giving you gifts, they are inviting you for CME, they are also supporting you by sponsorship. Which single factor really you feel will help the pharmaceutical companies? Just I wanted to know from him as a friend, really convinces you to go for a particular brand of a company. His immediate answer was that it is a regular visit, a very regular and well informative information, what kind of communication comes, whether the guy is really coming regularly or not, that is important. And then of course, what product is coming from the company. All these samples, and it was discussed also, that these inputs are there, but they have the minimum role, minimum contribution. What is important is the man who goes to the doctor. And that's why the kind of training and development of the man, it is important for all of us to see what kind of training we give to our people. I strongly, you believe me, in what way our people are going to the doctors, what kind of communication they are doing, and are they really meeting them and talking to them when the doctor is in a position to give a patient hearing? So these all factors are very important. I do not want to take much of the time, but once again I will say that for any organization, today the future of, we have been hearing that how the pharmaceutical industry will do in our country. But as long as there is emphasis on DPCO pricing and all this, my dear friend Mr. Tapan Ray was also the other day present in IDM's office when we were having a meeting. The next day when we were having a meeting with the chairman, he couldn't come. But the point was that we have spent 2 hours with the chairman in PPA for just convincing him that you have to take care of the way the price reduction is going on. Is it possible for the pharmaceutical industry, Indian industry, to spend money in R&D and going for the new molecules? Even the government has to give a look to this. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. B.N. Singh, for giving a nice presentation. May I request Mr. Aima to give a memento to Mr. B.N. Singh? Last but not least is the presentation from Mr. Vittal Rao, the Vice President of our State Element, which Mr. Sir will speak now.
Mr. Vittal Rao is going to speak to us on an important topic, co-marketing, which is again going to be a very important thing for future. And this particular session is chaired by Mr. Narasimhan, again who is a good professional, and he is head of marketing and sales at Novartis India. I would request Mr. Narasimhan to come on the dais, as well as Mr. Vittal Rao to come and give his presentation talk. Thank you.
Running sort of time, but
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, dignitaries on the dais, fellow professionals from the industry, also Mr. Brahma, Group President of Pharma Business and Technology, and his staff. Well, the last but not the least important topic for the day. I hope to take about 15 minutes, hopefully not more than that. Can you hear me there? It's on co-marketing. It's no more a new paradigm, though definitely there is a value enhancement with the co-marketing. There are a lot of companies already resorting to co-marketing. In fact, we in Astro Ideal also, past several years, we have been co-marketing with Ranbaxy, with HMR, with Unichem. There are 4 brands with 3 companies. Perhaps more will come in the near future. Recently, you must have also read, before I go into the slides, the importance of co-marketing, how it has caught on in the industry, particularly the pharma industry. Recently, Cipla and Ranbaxy have announced a co-marketing arrangement on 3 of the new molecules: venlafaxine, cephalosporin proxetil, and also, I think, atorvastatin. Now, they've decided to source the drug from Cipla, and Ranbaxy will market the brand. There are so many developments taking place. This is a very good strategy as an entry strategy or entry opportunity for most of the companies. Why? There are many reasons for co-marketing. I've also taken the liberty of touching on co-promotion. I just overheard someone asking, what is co-promotion? So I think I had the foresight or forethought to include a few slides on co-promotion also. Let's go to the first slide, please. Now, what is the basic thing? What is co-marketing? It's the same molecule or formulation marketed by 2 different companies under different brand names. Then, why the companies resort to co-marketing? It is not just run-of-the-mill kind of a molecule or a formulation. Predominantly, you want to have an entry opportunity as a strategy on NCE, new chemical entity, or new drug delivery systems, or special formulations where one company may not have the facility to produce. Could be aerosol, could be a special antibiotic, injectable, or beta-lactam cephalosporins where you don't have the facility to produce. Then you go for the specialized formulations which are co-marketed with the other company. Then the entry of the second company is made either simultaneously or subsequent to the first company. There is a licensor-licensee relationship between the 2 companies. Invariably, if it is NCE or NDDS, for reasons which I'm going to explain subsequently, they try to launch simultaneously. But for some reason they can't do it, then even subsequently these brands are launched. Now, most important in co-marketing is both the companies, their marketing functions and the brand promotion will operate as separate entities. And also, there is no mutually exclusive marketing rights for either company as per the agreement. What do we mean by mutually exclusive? This legally sounding expression. There is no exclusive rights on zones, marketing areas, on pricing, or even customers, which are not excluded from each other. Then you try to eliminate all areas of conflicts. What are the areas? Right from the outset, you have to craft the legal agreement and the co-marketing agreement in a very careful manner. Yeah, next one, please. Now, broadly speaking, legal and statutory, then production and technology, then marketing, these are the various broad areas where the co-marketing addresses. Legal and statutory, you can see the regulatory approvals after clinical trials, bioequivalence studies, or DCGI permission, or whatever approvals are required, these are already with the licensor or the innovator. The gestation period for the co-marketing partner, that is licensee, is considerably reduced, even up to 2 years if it is a NCE or NDDS. He need not go through the same rigmarole of the clinical trial or bioequivalence studies of the innovator. So he saves at least 2 to 3 years the gestation period. Then there is agreement on EMR between the 2 companies. which means they can achieve the critical mass very quickly. And they can achieve it together. That's most important. Here, the understanding and also the legal contract drawn between the licensor and licensee is that no third party is given the right of marketing. That's why I mentioned the word AMA here. And the agreement is a principal-to-principal agreement. It is very carefully worded and drafted by both the legal departments in consultation with both marketing and finance. Of course, the CEO or managing director's consent has to be obtained before the agreement is finally signed. The rights of both companies are protected in terms of price parity, in terms of secrecy, in terms of passing on the benefit of any price fluctuation. The licensee remains vigilant on any changes of price, so the benefit is passed on to both and they enjoy. Next one, please. In terms of development and production, which is a technology aspect of the co-marketing, the innovator or the licensor, he has already done the formulation, development and stability studies. He has all the data with him before he got the regulatory approvals. So again, there is a gestation period saving by the licensee, minimum 8 months to 1 year. Now, second point is the licensor or the innovator has already created an exclusive production facility. He is invested in the plant and machinery. It could be a special formulation, it could be aerosol, it could be injectable, like I mentioned earlier. And he looks for an optimal capacity utilization. With the co-marketing partner, there is a possibility of achieving this optimal capacity utilization. Whereas for the licensee, there is no need to create a production facility which is already available with the licensor. Now, raw material, packing material, and sourcing, pricing, these are all part of licensor's procurement program. So licensee operates on transfer price basis only. But again, the licensee should remain vigilant. If there are any price fluctuations to his benefit, to the licensee's benefit, he can renegotiate the transfer price and both get the benefit of the price fluctuation or price reduction. When you come to the marketing aspects, the combined forces of both licensor and licensee in co-marketing, there is a better reach in marketing and distribution, which enhances the reach for both and faster medical acceptance. Now, a very typical Cipla and Ranbaxy, what they even mentioned in the press note is that the easy inroads to difficult markets. The core competitors or core therapy area for some company may not be very strong. For example, if CNS, psychotropics or antidepressant, if Ranbaxy is not strong, they can take the help of Cipla, get it sourced from them, and then promote the brand. So both of them together make easy inroads into difficult markets, and also together both can expand the market size for the benefit of the licensor and licensee. And again, there's an entry opportunity through marketing for the licensee, and both benefit by wider doctor coverage to near saturation. The combined field force strength definitely increases the depth and the width of the doctor coverage and penetration. And the promotion platform, there is a general agreement in sharing the marketing and medical experiences. This is more to enhance the therapy and brand equity. That's a concerted effort. There's a perfect understanding between both licensor and licensee to enhance the therapy as well as the brand equity independently. Next one, please. But